Hi, this is Christopher Allen. Thanks for viewing the summary for Webinar 4, Building Navigation. We're going to be talking about how to create event-to-event navigation, as well as being able to navigate between pages in an arena that you've already created. Okay, to start off our project, I'd like you all to open up the webinar phone start file and make sure that you've got your learner's guide open so that you can follow along. So I'm opening up this project from my projects list. Once you get your file open, I'd invite you to just take a quick look at what we've created so far. We've got a title page and we've got a credits event, as well as we've got several events with the rollover interactivity to see what feature is where on each of the different phone models, as well as the quiz at the end. If I can draw your attention down to the bottom here of the screen on the scroll bar, or you could even look at the top on the title bar, you notice that only a few of our events actually have names on them. And of course we can simply double click in here to type whatever it is that we'd like. So using your learner's guide or following along with me, I'd like you to take a moment to label each of your events. Let me zoom out here for a second. So event number 1, this should be our menu. Event number 2 is our credits. Event 3, this is the easy phone. Event 4, this is the Finley. Event 5, this is the rugby. And event 6 is the quiz. It's important to have these names entered in, not only because it's a big convenience for you as an author so that you can remember what was in each one of these events, especially if their thumbnail looks rather similar. But when we start creating some wiring and some navigation, Zebra's going to pick up on the titles that you put into these message centers, and we're going to take advantage of that. All right, let's use the slider here at the bottom to move back to our menu page, and this is where we're going to place our first navigation button. So use the pencil lock or double click to start editing the menu event. We're going to use a new object from our toolbox. This time we're going to use the push button, and it's this guy that's over here, simply labeled button. It's to the left of the radio button and the checkbox, right underneath the rectangle. So go ahead and click on the button tool, and let's just click and drag to create our credits button up here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Now, on your own time, you're welcome to take a look at what all the different properties are that are associated with a button. There are some special ones, since it can have several different states, including a graphic appearance. And we have a spot here for you to put in 9 different graphics for an upstate, overstate, so on and so forth. What we want to have happen is when the user presses this button, we want to go to the credits page. So let's first label our button. Now we need to be able to say when they press this button, do something or go someplace. Well, the way that we're going to accomplish that is through the Project Message Center, and you probably haven't taken a look at this before. If you've put your credits button up in the upper right hand like I have, you might want to move your stage just a little bit. And of course, to return back to the pointer tool, you can either hit the space bar on your keyboard or simply click the pointer tool again in the toolbox. Let's open up the Project Message Center and look at it just a little bit. The project has the ability to do several things just automatically, and you'll find those under ins. Again, these are tricks or things that this object can do. In the case of the project is a whole is a big object, and of course it can go forward and back and go to a very specific event or restart. You'll find all of those listed under the do category. We have a very special ribbon here at the top called Go Event, and you may have noticed some of these other ribbons throughout the message centers that you've been looking at that have this little white caret on it. When I click on it, it's going to open up and show me that there are 5 more ribbons that go with the Go Event ribbon. We call these child ribbons. The first one is really what we're after. We want to tell the project message center that we want to go to a very specific event. In this case, we want to go to the credits event. So we're going to use the drop-down menu to fill that out. Underneath it is the key press child ribbon. And if you don't want to have just a button that allows you to navigate to the credits page, you could actually assign a keyboard key like the letter C or the letter P or tab or enter. To keep this project simple, we're simply going to leave the key press child ribbon blank. Below that, you'll find two more child ribbons that have to do with the type of transition that you're going to use to move between event to event. You can have your whole event slide left to right, fade in and out. I invite you to take a look at those and work with them a little bit. The last one, of course, is the transition time. This is how long it's going to take to move from event to event and show that nice crisp transition. So I'm going to close this up. You may have noticed that after I started entering in some information in the child ribbons, that I got a second one. You can have as many Go event ribbons as you like inside your project. It's always going to give you a blank one as soon as you use one. So let's move this over to the side one more time. And what I want to have happen now is when I press the credits button, I want to wire that to go to the credits event. So this very specific ribbon here that's at the top saying go to the credits event. I'm going to click and drag to create a wire. And I'm going to bring that wire up now to this ribbon that we have created and let go. Now you'll notice that there's an extra wire that was immediately created, and it's coming from the message center for the entire event down here at the bottom. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit to explain why. So when we've been wiring either rollovers or clicks inside of our project so far, we've really only been talking to other objects inside of this one event. By wiring to the project message center, we're essentially talking to the world, or to the global variables for this particular project. So we need a way to communicate outside the event. Well, Zebra's smart enough to know that if I'm trying to wire to the project message center, that it needs to create a custom outlet here at the bottom. And of course, you can name this whatever you'd like simply by clicking and typing in this space. So we could label this to go exactly to our credits page. And then it automatically creates the wire that we needed, which is from the event message center all the way up to the project message center. And you can even see this connection once you go back out to event flow. And this says within event number 1, there is something that is talking to the project message center. It's our credits button. And it's telling the whole project that it needs to go to the credits event. Let's go ahead and run our project from the beginning and see how that works. This time I'm going to use the Run Restart button in the upper left-hand corner that talks about our whole project. I want to run it from the very beginning. All right, we're on the menu page, and the moment that I hit the credits button, it's going to zip us over now to the credits event. If you're running in unlocked mode, as I am, the title bar is going to let you know what's exactly happened, that we've moved from the menu event to the credits event. Fantastic. All right, so we're on the credits page, and now you're going to notice, well, there's no way to get back. So wouldn't it be nice to have another button that would send us to the menu page? Well, we could put one here on the credits page, except I'm thinking we've got a whole lot of other events that it would also be smart to be able to have some way to navigate back to our menus page. So let's hit Edit Reset and jump out to Event Flow. I'm going to move this around just a little bit. So we've got our menu page, and we probably don't need a button there, but we'd certainly like to have one on the credits and on the Easy Phone. Here it looks like we've got a master that's unapplied. And a couple other places, probably even all the way through the quiz. So I want to have one element that goes to the menu page, and I need to have it on lots of different events. We can use a master in order to make that happen. So let's navigate all the way back with our scroll bar and create a new master. And I want to do this to the right of master B. Now, one thing that we haven't talked about is foreground and background masters. All of the masters that we've applied so far go behind the content that we've created. Well, what if we want to make sure that things like buttons, especially navigation buttons, can't ever get behind content that's on our screen? Well, what we need to do is create a foreground master. And to do that, you simply push up with this little toggle switch. And you'll notice on master B it says that it's a background, and now on master C it says that it's a foreground. So the content that's in this one is always going to be above any content that's on any event in which this master is applied. Let's go back one more time here to our toolbox, grab the push button, and maybe right down here in the lower right hand corner we'll have a button here that goes to our menu event. So I'll title that. And of course now we need to connect it to the project message center. I like to have my screen just a little off to the left so it's easy to get to the project message center. You're welcome to open up the project message center first. You don't have to. And let's open up those child ribbons again. In this case, we want to make sure that it's going to go to the menu event. So I've made that selection. You can even close this up if you'd like. And now I'm going to shift click to get the message center for the menu button to appear. And I'm going to wire from button pressed all the way up here to go to menu and let go. You of course can double click to change the title of this ribbon if you'd like. That's all we need to do. Let's go back out to event flow and let's apply this menu button now across our project. You can see here in the title bar at the very top, now some of these master page icons are on the bottom. This is master A and master B, and the new one that we've created that is a foreground, it's taller, and that lets us know it's above everything. So we've got our backgrounds and we've got our foreground. And here you can see just by clicking on the menu icon at the top here, we're getting that menu button placed inside of our project. Fantastic. So let's try it with going to the credits event and jumping back to the menu. So I can go to the credits page and I can jump back now to the menu. And if you'd like, hit Edit Reset, go back out to Event Flow View, and you can choose any of the other events that you've created. Use the Run from this event forward icon at the top on the title bar, hit the menu button, and you're going to pop right back to the menu event. Fantastic. All right, let's create another button here on our menu page. It just only has a credits button. It probably needs to be filled out a bit more. Let's create a button. So I'm going to hit Edit Reset. Of course, I'm in my menu event. And I'm going to create one more button to go to the quiz. I'll maybe put that right about here. Double click and label it quiz. You already know the steps. We're simply going to click and drag a wire from quiz up to the project message center. I need a new Go event ribbon, and there's a blank one here just waiting for me at the top. I'm going to wire to it, and we want to go to the quiz. Of course, you notice that the moment that I use that drop-down menu, I get another Go event ribbon at the top. So don't worry about using all of them. You're going to continue to get more as we go. And of course, we can go ahead and test this simply by running from here and making sure that our quiz button indeed takes us to the quiz event. Now that we're on the quiz event, I realize that we also don't have navigation for the quiz itself. We've got a whole bunch of questions in here, and we need a way for the student to be able to move from question to question. So go ahead and hit Edit Reset now that you're on event number 6. And let's look at the message center for the arena, which holds all of our quiz questions. And specifically, I want you to open up I'm going to hide my toolbox here for a second. I want you to open up the ins. And under ins and do, you'll notice that it has a lot of the same ribbons that you can find in the project message center. So here I've got go first event, go next event, so on and so forth. So if I look inside the arena, you notice that I have the ability to go to the first page, go to the next page, previous page, to the last page. These are going to be really, really handy to us. So let's create a couple of buttons to go to the next page and to go to the previous page. Need my toolbox open again. So I'm going to click the pointer here for the toolbox. And I'm going to draw a couple buttons here down at the very bottom. Now, we've styled our arena so that you can't really see the edges. And you might want to add a little line weight so that you know where the edge of your arena is. See it again. These buttons for going forward and back within the arena, I want them to be outside the arena. Otherwise, they'd be on a page. And the moment that I'd flip a page, I'd lose all my navigation. So let's make sure that our quiz here and its arena is near the top. Of course, you can spend some time to reposition things in your project. And I'm going to grab the button here, the button tool again from my toolbox, and let's make a previous. I might have to zoom out just a little bit so I have some more working space. So we'll call this our previous button. And of course, if I wanted to make sure that it was the exact same size, I could copy it, paste it, and use the nudge keys here to move things over. And I'll label this one next. Okay, so we need to make a very simple connection. We've really already shown you all the principles that you need to know. We simply want to grab the message center for the arena and for our previous button. And what I want to say is when I press the button here under triggers, we want to go to the previous page. And I'll grab the next button as well. Click and drag to create a wire. Remember to drag from the port. Bring that all the way up and connect that to go to next page. Let's go ahead and try it. Go ahead and run from this event forward. I think it was already on page 3, so I can find page 2, I can find page 1, go forward and back. Go ahead and test your project, make sure it works like this. Again, remember you can pause this video at any time and refer back to the learner's guide. There's one more change I'd like to make. Let's go ahead and jump back to edit reset mode here. And that is when I hit page 3, I no longer want to see the next button, simply because there are no more pages to go to. And the same goes with if I make it all the way back to page 1, I don't want to see the previous button, again, because there's nothing to go farther back to. So let's open up the arena and its message center here under properties and values. And there are two very special ribbons just for handling whether or not there's a page to go to or a page to go back to. It's this page next or page previous with a question mark at the end. And it really is a question. Is there a next page? In this case, the answer is yes, so we have a true value. Is there a page to go back to? Well, we're on page 1. The answer is no. What I can use this true-false for, of course, it's going to snap. Let's go to page 2, where we'll see both the next and the previous now become true. If I go to page 3, the next page is false, but the previous page is true. Well, that's exactly the action that I want. I want my next button to only be visible if there's a page to go to, and I don't want my previous button to be visible if there isn't a page to go back to. So let's wire up from previous to its visibility. I just want to say, well, if there isn't a previous page, make this button invisible. Notice it immediately disappeared. I'm going to shift click here. Well, I've already got my message center up. We'll go to its visibility and say, well, if there is a next page to go to, click and drag and make that connection. Okay, let's go ahead and run our project. We're on page 1, only the next button is showing. go to the next page. I'm on page 2 of 3, so there is a previous page and there is a next page, so I could go back, I can go forward, and I can go forward and back and back. So what we've done is we've used a property here on the arena and wired it to another property. It says, I want to share these values across. That's why these wires are blue. We're just simply linking these two things together that says, if there is a next page, I want you to be visible. If there isn't a previous page, I want you to be invisible. Make sure to save your projects, and we'll move on to the last step. Okay, I see two things that we can do on this page. One is I want to turn the arena's line weight back down to 0 because this box is pretty ugly. So let's click on the arena, and I can use the inspector since that ribbon is just showing for me over here real easy. Turn that back down to 0. The second thing that I notice is that my menu button is a little too high. And of course, remember, this is on a master page, and we can edit masters in context simply by going up here to the title bar. I know that my menu button is in C. It's going to highlight green. So the title here thing highlights green, as well as the button highlights green. So watch as I mouse over, the button has that green drop shadow to it. I can simply click on the edit button right below this icon. You'll notice I'm now in Master C, and I can then click and drag to move this button wherever I'd like. I could even put it over here on the title bar, resize it if I'd like, maybe even make the button text bold. So go ahead and try that. Start editing your master in context so that you can see how everything else on the page looks. And then we can go back out to event flow and make sure that that's something that we like. And you notice that the tiles have already all updated, and then our menu button has moved here over to the lower left. Okay, I'm going to leave you with one quick homework assignment. You'll of course find these in your learner's guide, and that is to fill out the rest of the navigation so that you can actually get to the middle section, which is the rollovers for each one of these phones. If you'd like, you could even spend some time and figure out how, once you've navigated to, say, the easy phone, that you could provide buttons so that they can just move forward an event or backwards an event, just like we did for the arena, but this time with events. Thanks so much for following along with this webinar series. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to your instructor for more questions.